So I try to watch these things after I record them, you know, try to process my thoughts, hear myself say my thoughts to myself or whatever. A couple of clarifications because I was like, what the am I saying for a couple of moments. My grandmother has had three husbands. One of them didn't die of old age. He died in a plane crash. So she actually was able to remarry a little bit young, and then he passed away of Alzheimer's, and that was hard. It was really hard because he was the grandpa that I saw as a grandpa. The other grandpa I didn't know, my natural grandpa, who I'm blood related to, he died in the plane crash before I ever could know him. But I grew up with her second husband, him dying of Alzheimer's, and watching him. That was very hard and stuff. But and then the last one, he died of diabetes. Actually, he refused a lot of things that would have helped him in his health, and he would not do it. And that was his decision. And he died, unfortunately, in a painful way. Um, so yeah. Um, but yeah. So yeah, my grandma has outlasted and outlived and everything, but it was weird the way that I said she's not a gold digger or whatever. I've never actually heard anyone accuse her of that, so I don't know why I said that. That was weird. Sometimes I'm like, where does my thoughts come from? I don't know. Second thing, when I started to say a thought and then I completely trailed off in a different direction. Sorry. I was saying that there are people with degrees and stuff that I've been talking to and everything, and they all 100% think I'm transgender. And the five people who know about it, besides that, all 100% think I'm transgender. I'm the only one involved in this situation so far that has any hesitation about it, or worry or concern that what if it's just that I want to be a man, not that I actually am a man? What if it's that I'm jealous of men? What if it's that I have, like trauma issues about men or prejudices? Although, honestly, most of my prejudices are what I feel guilty about wanting to be a man. My therapist is trying to help me with the whole issue that it's very difficult for me to imagine a man not naturally just by existing being a predator, and even whether he's intending to come across as a predator or not, he is still always, just by his very presence, for many women, a threatening presence. Whether he's doing anything threatening or not, whether he's a gentleman or not, whether he's a good person or not. And I say this knowing good men. I flat out have helped raise good men. Um, Men who would medically castrate themselves before they would ever touch anyone in a way without consent. Like, men who are truly generous and big-hearted and good people, and it's terrible that I put that kind of a burden on that. And yet I feel a horrible sense of guilt for even wanting to become a man, because then I would lose some part of being a good person, which is not true logically, and yet there's this like feeling, and that's not right, and that, but it's there. And I realize that some of my issues with transitioning are because of how I was raised and because of prejudices that I have developed because of that. And I realize that is the source of some of my hesitation. But part of me does wonder, do I have enough dysphoria to be transgender? Am I just non-binary maybe? And I should just stay in the androgynous section of non-binary, and maybe I just want to be a little more masculine, and maybe it's just gender expression and not, I mean, I'm not dysmorphic. It's not dysmorphia, dysphoria um, is not dysmorphia. They're different. Um, and I understand the difference, having worked with, again, in the past, transgender people and issues like that. Like, I don't know, I've thought before about going into school or something and ending up like a gender therapist, except it would take like so long, way too much time. But at the same time, um, the world needs some more gender therapists and ones who won't mistake dysmorphia for dysphoria or gender expression for dysphoria. I feel like that's an important thing to understand, why those things overlap sometimes in what are the very real differences between them. But at the same time, logically, if I am understanding of that, then I probably don't have that. And yet there's this like hesitation, and a little self-doubt is normal about big giant changes and stuff like that. And it's not even a big giant change, because honestly, the majority of my life wouldn't be that different. I wouldn't magically stop playing video games if I was a man. I wouldn't magically like have a completely different personality if I was a man, because I would just be me, but perhaps less depressed or more like comfortable with myself, like whatever. That's not necessarily bad. So basically, medically, I qualify to be transgender. I have all the medical telltales for it, and whatever. That's great, that's fine. But I'm still choosing to go slow, because I need to make sure I need it to be not just what I want, but what I already am. Anyway, it's part of why I'm doing this, so I can try to think it all out and process and self-reflect and blah 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 blah. Anyway, yeah, that's all I'm gonna clarify for now, I think. Anyway, just needed to say that. I will say my dermatillomania has gone down significantly since I've been letting the body hair go out. For almost a week, I didn't have a single issue with it, which is insane, because I've struggled with dermatillomania since, like, the earliest I can specifically remember someone pointing it out was like when I was 5. So, like, I don't know. I used to compulsively tear it myself, and now I compulsively stroke my beard. Whatever. But, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm trans. Maybe that just means that I feel hope for the first time in my life, and maybe hope is making me have less dermatillomania. I don't know. I think these things. I think, well, what if? What if it's really this other thing? And, everyone else is like, really? Really? But these are the things that I worry about or whatever. Because the thing is if, and I want to be really, really straightforward about this, if you are genuinely transgender, the medical recommendation is to transition for relief. It is a medical condition. But, allow me to be really clear, if you transition and you don't have gender dysphoria, you can get gender dysphoria. So, it's very important to recognize the difference between gender expressions And, dysmorphia and dysphoria is very important because you can make yourself more miserable. You can make yourself sicker, and I think that's what I'm scared of. I think that's what I'm scared of. I'm already so miserable with myself. I can't be more miserable or I will die. So that's the risk with accepting what's logical about all of this and rational about all of this, and that I fit all of the definitions and I'm not atypical. I am completely checkmark every freaking box. Is what if there's one box that got checked that shouldn't have been or something, and then it somehow gets worse? I can't handle it being worse. And again, the medical recommendation is treatment so it'll get better. And I can recognize that and still be scared. When I started recording again to make clarifications, I did not realize I was going to realize this, so yeah, so much for not crying anymore. I'm scared transitioning won't help. The thing that's giving me hope is also the thing that's giving me doubts. That's great. Oh.